Have you ever found yourself in a job that's just frustrating? The project management strategy is best described as absolute chaos. Everything is a last minute emergency. There's an endless fight to implement any technology developed in the last decade or longer. People spend more time throwing issues to another team than just solving them. And trying to get anything done is just a stress inducing nightmare. But if you just play along, it's a pretty mindless paycheck. In past videos, I've talked about being at this sort of job. On the one hand, you want to advance your career, learn new technology, and stay on top of things and do some cool projects. And on the other hand, having a job that's easy, you're comfortable at, and gives you time to focus on other things in life is kind of nice. Change is hard, and if you're like I was, you'll spend entirely too much time and energy trying to make the place better. Why not get the best of both worlds? It'll still be comfortable, but it won't have as many problems. But if change is hard for a person, it's nearly impossible for an organization. In my case, it was my first senior level position, a good jump in salary, and a lot to learn before I felt comfortable. I had almost no SSIS experience going in, and after a year, I was in charge of close to 100 jobs. But over the next couple of years, learning slowed down a lot. I ran into a lot of organizational challenges. Trying to get off of SSRS and onto the newer Power BI was a struggle. The lack of project planning was frustrating, and turnover for our team was really high. The manager and lead architect were just toxic and always bad mouthing whoever wasn't in the room. Hiring was always a pain. The interview style was barrage them with questions and form no rapport. That, plus lowballing people and probably having a bad reputation with all the turnover, meant we didn't get a lot of great candidates. The leadership always trashed the candidates and never stopped to consider their own processes. Career progression was non existent. The executive and senior leadership had been in their position for 10 plus years and they were going to retire there. We once asked how they stay on top of modern tech advancements, blogs, communities, etc., and they just responded that they don't need to, they have enough experience. Which explains why the tech stack was a decade old, because it's probably when they stopped paying attention. One thing that stuck with me was every time somebody talked about leaving, the boss always just said, it's just as bad everywhere else. And a lot of people believe that. Change is scary. So what happened when I finally did leave? I got a new job. It was decent, but not exactly what I was looking for. But just having a new role reignited my desire to learn. It also got rid of any fear over finding a new job. The imposter syndrome of if I'd be up to the task. So I moved a couple more times until I started landing the jobs that did fit with what I wanted. The result was over the next few years, my salary doubled, I learned a ton, and going to work every day wasn't boring or miserable. It turns out it's just as bad everywhere else it's actually better everywhere else. Of course, it's not to say you won't stumble into bad jobs. They're definitely out there. But sitting at one forever is also not going to solve the problem. The more you're willing to move on, the better you're going to get at identifying and avoiding the bad ones. So my approach since then has been pretty simple. If I'm learning and growing in my career, I stay. If I'm not, it's time to consider moving on. To evaluate this, I'd recommend at least every quarter do a resume update. You don't have to completely redesign it, but you can. Just update any skills list and bullets under your current job. If you find you don't have anything to add, pay attention. If a few times in a row you have nothing to add, it's probably time to take some action. And of course, an added benefit is you're always going to have an updated resume, and just working on your resume can motivate you to take action as well. I don't know how many people out there are in this kind of situation or what you do to avoid it, but sticking around in a stagnant place too long, wasting energy trying to fix it, and almost being gaslit into thinking it's normal was definitely my biggest career mistake. Be sure to watch this video next to see how I try and avoid ending up in a bad job again.